His eyes, the color of hazelnut and mischief, were locked on mine. In them, I saw the glint of a predator that had just cornered its prey, a cat relishing the moment before the pounce. And in his hand, held aloft like a trophy, was my deepest, most humiliating secret. A cascade of pastel pink lace spilled from his fingers, the delicate fabric a stark, damning contrast to his masculine grip. This couldn't be happening. My boss, Peter Grayson, the man who held my entire internship in the palm of his hand, was holding the dress I had ordered in a fit of late-night, whiskey-fueled bravery. A disaster wasn't a strong enough word. This was an extinction-level event for my professional life. My heart was staging a violent protest against my ribs, a frantic drum solo that I was sure he could hear from across the doorway. The air in the hallway, thick with a sterile scent of lemon polish, felt impossible to breathe. My hands, slit with a cold sweat, were buried so deep in my jean pockets I was surprised they hadn't Euros trade tea torn through the denim. I was a statue of pure, unadulterated panic, my mind a blank slate where 1,000 rehearsed excuses had just been wiped clean. It was supposed to be simple. A misdirected package. Hire Euros trade D knock, offer a flustered apology, and invent a fictional girlfriend with a penchant for high fashion. A girlfriend who, conveniently, shared my exact measurements. Peter didn't need to know the truth. He didn't need to know that the man who diligently filed his reports and brewed his coffee to perfection had a secret life. A hidden self that longed for the whisper of silk and lace against his skin. I had raised my fist, the knuckles white with tension, ready to knock on the heavy wooden door. But before I could make contact, it swung inward, revealing him. Peter. He leaned against the door frame, a portrait of casual confidence. His dark hair was a mess, as if he Eurostrayed been running his hands through it in thought or frustration. He was out of his usual power suit, but the crisp white shirt, untucked at the waist with sleeves rolled to his elbows, still screamed authority. And then I saw it. The box. My box. The cardboard was already torn open, and sitting atop it like a fluffy pink cloud of judgment was the dress. My stomach plummeted, hitting the floor with a sickening thud. "Frank," he said, his voice a low, amused rumble that carried the ghost of a British accent he'd never fully shed. "Fancy seeing you here. Is this yours?" The world tilted on its axis. My rehearsed lines, my carefully constructed lies, evaporated into thin air. His gaze was sharp, dissecting, and laced with a teasing humor that felt more dangerous than outright anger. I tried to laugh, but the sound that escaped my throat was a strangled, pathetic croak. Yeah. Well, no. Not exactly, I stammered, my words tripping over each other in their haste to escape. Either Euros trade €4 for someone else. A mistake. Crazy, right? The delivery company must have messed up. He raised a single, skeptical eyebrow, the corner of his mouth twitching. Crazy, he echoed, his tone saturated with disbelief. He stepped back, a silent invitation into his space. I shuffled past him, my sneakers squeaking on the polished hardwood, and the soft click of the door closing behind me sounded like a prison cell locking. His apartment was a reflection of Hemer Euros, a controlled chaos of sleek, modern lines and artistic disarray. Stacks of books teetered precariously on minimalist shelves, and a half-empty coffee mug stood sentinel on the granite countertop. Smooth jazz drifted from a hidden speaker, its melancholic notes only amplifying my sense of impending doom. He placed the box on the coffee table, and the dress slid partially out, its delicate lace catching the lamplight. I couldn't look at it. I couldn't look at him. The heat in my face was volcanic, I could feel the blotchy red patches spreading across my pale skin, a visible map of my humiliation. Peter crossed his arms, leaning against the back of his sofa, and tilted his head. So, he began, drawing the word out, savoring it. This someone else. Your girlfriend, is she? Yeah, I blurted, the word shooting out of me with the force of a champagne cork. Totally. She strayed s. Oh, really into this stuff. Fashion, you know. I made a vague, desperate gesture toward the offensive pink garment, as if I could magically wave away the mountain of lies I was building. I was digging my own grave, and Peter was happily handing me the shovel. A full-blown smirk now played on his lips. He reached down and picked up the dress, holding it by its thin straps. The fabric swayed, a pendulum marking the final seconds of my dignity. My breath caught in my throat. Interesting, he mused, taking a step closer. He was too close. The air became thick with his cologne, an intoxicating blend of sandalwood and something sharp and clean. I could see the faint shadow of stubble along his jawline. Because, he continued, his voice dropping an octave, I couldn't help but notice he paused, letting the silence stretch until it was a physical weight pressing down on me. The size. It looks like it would fit you perfectly, Frank. My brain blue-screened. A jumble of denials and protests formed in my mind but died on my tongue. What? No. Tharter strayed sar Tharter strayed s ridiculous. I finally managed, taking a clumsy step back and nearly tripping over an expensive-looking rug. Eater strayed s not mine. Eater strayed s hers. Just hers. My voice cracked on the last word, a pathetic betrayal that only widened his predatory grin. Is it? He asked, his voice a silken challenge. He tossed the dress back into the box, his movements fluid and deliberate, and retrieved something else. The matching stockings. They were sheer, silky, and dangled from his fingers like a final, damning piece of evidence. You sure about that? Because my imagination is a wild thing, Frank, and right now, it's running rampant. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. My secret wasn't just out, it was being dissected, examined, and toyed with by the one person who could ruin me. Look, just euros, can I have it back? My voice was thin, laced with a desperation I couldn't hide. Please, I'll get you coffee for a month. Whatever you want. Peter let out a deep, rolling chuckle that did strange, unsettling things to my stomach. Oh, you'll owe me more than coffee, mate, he said, closing the distance between us again. He was taller than I was, broader, and standing in his shadow, I felt physically and metaphorically small. But sure, take it. For your girlfriend. He held out the box. As I reached for it, his fingers deliberately brushed against mine. A jolt, like a static shock, shot up my arm. Thanks, I mumbled, clutching the package to my chest like a shield. I turned, my eyes fixed on the door, on escape. Frank, he called out, his voice stopping me cold. I hated myself for it, but I glanced back. The smirk was still there, but it was joined by something else now, something I couldn't quite read. Curiosity? No, it was sharper than that. Next time you order something, he said, his eyes glinting, double-check the address. We wouldn't want another mix-up, would we? I gave a mute nod and fled, practically running down the hallway. The crinkling of the box was deafening, my pulse a frantic drumbeat in my ears. The dress inside was a ticking time bomb I had only temporarily diffused. Peter knew. He might not know the whole truth, but he knew enough. And the most terrifying part, A small, traitorous corner of my soul, the part that had noticed the lingering look in his eyes and the teasing warmth in his voice, hadn't hated it nearly as much as it should have. The following Monday, walking into the office felt like entering a gladiator's arena armed with nothing but a stapler. My desk, usually a safe haven of organized paperwork, now felt like a flimsy shield against the sheer force of Peter's presence. He was in his glass-walled office, a king on his throne, his broad shoulders hunched over a laptop. Every few minutes, his head would lift, his gaze sweeping the room, and I would dive headfirst into a spreadsheet, pretending to be utterly captivated by quarterly earnings reports. My collar felt like a noose, and my skin prickled with a phantom memory of his gaze, his smirk, the way he Eurostrade held that dress. Eurostrade barely slept. The box remained on my bedroom floor, a Pandora Eurostrade box of pink lace I was too afraid to open. His words echoed in my mind on a relentless loop. It looks like it would fit you perfectly, Frank. A nauseating cocktail of dread and a strange, restless heat churned in my gut. Was he mocking me? Was he, at this very moment, recounting the story of his weirdo intern to the other managers? Or worse, was he picturing it? Picturing me Euros in it? A sudden ping from my computer jolted me from my downward spiral. It was an email. Subject: a quick chat. Send a Peter Grayson. My blood ran cold. The body of the email contained a single, terrifying line: at my office. 12:15. Bring coffee. No pleasantries, no explanation, just a summons. I had 10 minutes to prepare for my execution. My hands trembled as I poured the coffee in the break room, a simple black for him and one with a splash of cream for myself. I still managed to slosh some onto my shirt cuff. Perfect. By the time I stood before his glass door, the paper cups were scalding my palms and my heart was attempting to beat its way out of my chest. Come in. His voice, muffled by the glass, called out. I pushed the door open and entered his sanctum. His office was immaculate, a stark contrast to his apartment. Books on graphic design were arranged with geometric precision on shelves, and the city skyline sprawled out behind his sleek desk. He was leaning back in his leather chair, watching me with an unreadable expression. Coffee, I announced, setting his cup on the desk with a clatter that betrayed my nerves. I clutched my own cup like a holy relic, hovering awkwardly. War Euros wanted to see me. He took a long, slow sip, his eyes never leaving my face. Sit, he commanded, nodding to the chair opposite him. I sat, perching on the very edge, my leg bouncing uncontrollably. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. His top two shirt buttons were undone, revealing a tantalizing sliver of tan skin. My throat went dry. So, he began, his voice light, almost casual, but with a dangerous undercurrent. About the other night, my coffee nearly leaped from my grasp. It was a mix-up, I insisted, my voice squeaking. Like I said, my girlfriend's Euros. He cut me off, holding up a hand. Frank, you are a truly terrible liar. Has anyone ever told you that? Heat flooded my face. I'm no to Euros you are, he stated, a matter-of-fact finality in his tone. He stood and began to circle the desk, moving with a predatory grace. He stopped directly in front of my chair, leaning back against his desk, effectively trapping me. His knees brushed against mine, and I flinched. I've been thinking, he continued, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. That dress, those stockings are Euros, fair Eurostrade not just any generic girlfriend gift. They feel Euros specific, personal. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. He was systematically dismantling my defenses, and I was powerless to stop him. "I don't know what you're talking about," I whispered, the words sounding hollow even to my own ears. He let out that low, rich chuckle that tied my insides in knots. He reached into one of his desk drawers. My heart hammered against my ribs. He wasn't going to pull out the dress, was he? No, it was something smaller, but no less terrifying. A spool of delicate pink lace ribbon. "Found this in the box, too," he said, dangling it between his fingers. "Thought it might come in handy." Before I could even process what was happening, he moved. He grabbed my wrist, his grip surprisingly gentle but firm. In a swift, practiced motion, he looped the ribbon around it, tying a loose, decorative knot. The soft fabric grazed my skin and my breath hitched. His fingers lingered, his thumb stroking the sensitive skin over my pulse point. I stared up at him, my eyes wide with a mixture of fear and a bewildering thrill. "Relaxed," he murmured, his voice now a low purr that vibrated through me. "I'm not going to tell anyone." "But I am Euros curious. What's the story, Frank? Are you going to keep up this charade, or are you finally going to be honest with me?" I yanked my hand back, the ribbon slipping free, but the ghost of his warmth remained. "There's no story," I snapped, jumping to my feet so fast I almost sent the chair flying. "It's not mine. End of discussion." He didn't move an inch, just watched me with that infuriating, all-knowing smirk. "Sure," he said, drawing the word out. "But if it's not yours, Euros, why are you blushing like that?" I wanted to strangle him, or kiss him. The emotions were so tangled I couldn't tell them apart. "I'm leaving," I muttered, grabbing my coffee and making for the door. His laughter, soft and maddeningly intimate, followed me out. Back at my desk, I collapsed into my chair, my entire body trembling. My wrist still tingled where he had touched it. He had, quite literally, tied me up in his little game. And the worst part, the part that filled me with a terrifying, exhilarating dread, was that I didn't entirely hate it. Peter wasn't just aware of my secret, he was intrigued by it. He was pulling at the threads, not to unravel me completely, but to see what I was made of. He had let me run this time, but I knew with a certainty that chilled me to the bone that he wasn't finished with me yet. And a reckless, masochistic part of me couldn't wait to see what he would do next. Friday arrived on a wave of gray, drizzling rain, the kind of day that mirrored my gloomy, anxious mood. Euros Trade D spent the week in a state of high alert, dodging Peter in the hallways and burying myself in work to avoid his penetrating gaze. It was futile. He was an inescapable presence, his laugh echoing from conference rooms, his scent lingering in the elevator. At 3 o'clock, my phone buzzed with a now familiar dread. An email from Peter. "My place. 6 p.m. Got something for you." No explanation, no escape clause. Just another tug on the puppet strings. I should have said no. I should have feigned illness or a prior commitment. But my traitorous mind conjured the image of his apartment, the smooth jazz, the heat in his eyes, and my fingers typed a terse okay before my common sense could intervene. By 6, I was standing on his doorstep again, rain plastering my hair to my forehead. He opened the door instantly as if he'd been waiting right behind it. He was dressed down in a soft black sweater and jeans, barefoot, and the casual intimacy of it threw me off balance. In his hand was a simple brown paper bag. "Frank," he greeted me, stepping aside. "You're soaked. Get in." I trudged inside, leaving a trail of water on his pristine floor. The apartment smelled of pizza this time, and the same jazz music curled through the air. "What is this about?" I asked, my tone sharper than I intended. He offered that slow, devastating grin. "Patience," he said, placing the bag on the coffee table. "Sit. Dry off." He tossed a plush towel at me, and I numbly rubbed it over my hair, acutely aware of him watching me, studying me like a complex equation he was determined to solve. "I did some shopping," he announced, nodding toward the bag. "Thought you might like this." My blood turned to ice. "Shopping?" I squeaked. His grin widened. "Relax. Iter euros trade s notar bon." He reached into the bag and pulled out a swatch of shimmering purple fabric. It unfolded as he held it up, revealing its true form, a short, flouncy skirt with a delicate black lace overlay. My breath caught in my lungs. It was beautiful, and it was terrifying. He tossed it, and it landed in my lap, the fabric cool and impossibly soft against my damp jeans. My fingers curled into it instinctively. "What the hell is this?" I managed to say, though my voice was a strangled whisper. "A gift," Peter said, his voice as smooth as velvet. "For your girlfriend. Or, euros, whoever might enjoy it." I shoved it back at him, a reflex of pure panic. "I don't euros, this isn't euros," but he caught my wrists, his grip gentle yet unyielding. "Try it on," he urged, leaning closer. His breath was a warm whisper against my ear. "Come on, Frank. Humor me." "No way," I snapped, wrenching my hands free. I stood up, and the skirt slid to the floor, a pool of purple and black between us. "This is insane." "You're insane." "Maybe," he conceded, completely unfazed. He picked it up again, stepping into my personal space until his chest was nearly brushing mine. "But you're curious, aren't you? I can see it in your eyes. You're dying to know how it feels." He was right. Damn him, he was right. I wanted to deny it, to push him away and storm out into the rain, but my feet felt like they were cemented to the floor. "You're wrong," I said, but the words lacked conviction. His eyes darkened. "Am I?" he murmured, holding the skirt out not as a command, but as an invitation. A challenge. "Prove it. The door is right there. Walk away, or stay and see what happens." I was trapped not by him, but by my own conflicted desires. The skirt gleamed, a silent dare, and I knew, with a terrifying certainty, that my life was balanced on the knife's edge of this single decision. The bathroom door clicked shut behind me, the sound echoing in the small, tiled space. I leaned against it, the purple skirt clutched in my hand like a talisman. My reflection was a stranger euros, pale, wide-eyed, with rain-dampened hair clinging to my temples. This was madness. This wasn't Frank, the quiet intern, but a voice in my head, a voice that sounded suspiciously like my own hidden desires, whispered, "Yes, it is." I stripped off my cold, damp clothes, shivering as my bare feet met the cool tile. With a deep, shuddering breath, I stepped into the skirt. The fabric whispered up my legs, light and cool, before settling perfectly high on my waist. I turned to the mirror. The vibrant purple was a shock of color against my pale skin, the flouncy hem kicking out in a way that was undeniably, audaciously feminine. It fit. Of course, it fit. A dizzying wave of shame and pure, unadulterated exhilaration washed over me. I looked at her euros good. I looked like myself. "Frank, you alive in there?" Peter euros trade's voice, low and laced with curiosity, came through the door. "Yeah," I called back, my own voice cracking. I cleared my throat. "1 second." I pulled my shirt back on, a flimsy attempt to reclaim some semblance of my old self. Then I unlocked the door and stepped out into the lion's den. Peter was leaning against the wall, but he straightened as I emerged. His eyes widened, and he did a slow, deliberate scan, from my flushed face down to the hem of the skirt that barely grazed my mid-thigh and all the way back up. The slice of pizza he was holding paused halfway to his mouth. For the first time since our Euros trade met him, Peter Grayson was speechless. "Well," I challenged, crossing my arms over my chest. "Happy now?" He set the pizza down and walked toward me. "Happy isn't the word," he said, his voice husky. He reached out, his fingers gently brushing the lace at my hip. The contact was electric. "Stunning," he breathed. "Bloody stunning." My face was on fire. "Don't," I said, the word coming out as a breathless plea. "Don't mess with me, Peter." "I'm not," he said, and his usual smirk was gone, replaced by an intensity that held me captive. "You think I'd do all this just to mess with you? Give me some CR." "Then why?" I demanded, my heart hammering. "Why this? Why me?" He tilted his head, his gaze softening. "Because I saw you. The real you, not the one hiding behind spreadsheets. And I liked what I saw. A lot." His hand settled on my hip, a light but firm pressure that sent a shockwave through my system. "You're not the only one taking a risk here." I swallowed hard. "You're crazy," I whispered. "Maybe," he murmured, his thumb drawing slow, hypnotic circles on my hip. "But you're still here." He leaned in, his lips hovering near mine, the air crackling with unspoken promises. The world spun, a kaleidoscope of smooth jazz pouring rain, and the overwhelming presence of the man in front of me. I didn't know what I was doing, what any of this meant, but as he closed the final inch between us, I knew I had just stepped off a cliff, and I had no desire to look down. The weekend passed in a surreal haze. The memory of his touch, the weight of his gaze, the feel of the skirt against my Skinner Euros, it was all branded into my mind. Back in the office on Monday, dressed in my drab uniform of slacks and a button-down, I felt like an imposter. The office was emptying out, the fluorescent lights casting long shadows over the deserted cubicles. I was alone, trying to make sense of a balance sheet, when my phone buzzed. A text from him. "Staying late." My fingers trembled as I typed back. "Yeah, finishing up." A beat of silence, then his reply. "Come by when you're done." It wasn't a question, it was a gravitational pull. By 9, I found myself outside his office again, the door slightly ajar. He was at his desk, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, looking unfairly handsome under the lamplight. He looked up as I entered, and that slow, familiar grin spread across his face. "Frank," he said, his voice a balm on my frayed nerves. "You're a sight for sore eyes." I shut the door, the click sealing us in our own private world. He stood up, stretching like a large cat, the fabric of his shirt pulling taut across his chest. "Need a break," he muttered, rounding the desk until he was standing right in front of me. Before I could react, he reached out and, with one swift tug, pulled my tie completely free. I gasped, but he caught my hands, pressing them against his chest. "Relax," he murmured, his voice a low vibration against my palms. "Your wound too tight." His fingers moved to my collar, deftly unfastening the top button of my shirt. "Better?" he asked, his eyes smoldering. I couldn't speak. I could only feel the frantic beat of my own heart and the steady, solid rhythm of his. "What are we doing?" I finally whispered. He pulled back just enough to look me in the eye. "Messing up, probably," he admitted, a raw honesty in his tone. "But I can't stop thinking about you in that skirt." "About you?" Period. His hand cupped my jaw, his thumb brushing against my lips. Tell me you don't feel this too. I couldn't lie. Not now. I do, I confessed, the words torn from me. But I'm scared. Good, he said, the corner of his mouth lifting in a soft, almost tender smile. Keeps it interesting. He leaned in, and his lips brushed mine. It was a question, a spark in the darkness, and I answered without thinking. I kissed him back, a clumsy, desperate collision of want and fear. The world dissolved into nothing but the heat of his mouth, the scrape of his stubble, and the low groan that rumbled in his chest. It was too much, too fast. I pushed him back, gasping for air. We can't, I panted, scrambling to my feet. Not here. He didn't argue. He just watched me, his lips slightly swollen, his eyes dark with a desire that mirrored my own. Okay, he said, his voice rough. Your pace, Frank. But don't think for a second that this is over. I fled, the kiss burning on my lips like a brand. I had crossed a line, a point of no return. And as the elevator doors slid shut, I was forced to admit the terrifying truth: I didn't want to go back. The annual company party was a glittering, champagne-fueled nightmare, held on a rooftop bar overlooking the city. It was a sea of forced smiles and corporate schmoozing. I was hiding by the bar, nursing a beer, when I saw him. Peter was across the room, looking effortlessly magnetic, a drink in hand, and then his eyes found mine. The connection was instantaneous, a live wire stretching across the crowded space. He excused himself and began to make his way toward me. My heart hammered against my ribs. Beneath my sensible black slacks, I was wearing a secret, a pair of sheer, silky stockings, a private act of rebellion. A thrill, sharp and sweet, shot through me with every step he took. Frank, he said, his voice a low murmur against the thumping music. You clean up nice. The music shifted to a slower, more intimate melody. Dance? He asked, holding out his hand. My throat went dry, but I took it. He led me to the edge of the dance floor, his arm sliding around my waist, pulling me flush against him. My hand rested on his shoulder, and I could feel the silk of the stockings whispering against my skin with every movement. You're tense, he murmured, his lips brushing my ear. What's wrong? Nothing, I lied, but I could feel a blush creeping up my neck. Liar, he teased softly. You have that look again, like you're hiding something. The words tumbled out before I could stop them, a desperate, reckless gamble. What if we were together, you and me, for real? The question hung in the air between us, heavy and fragile. Peter stopped moving, his body going still against mine. The music swelled, the city lights blurred, and the entire world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his answer. And Thartar Eurostrade where our story hangs, suspended in a moment of glittering possibility. What do you think he'll say? Is Frank being brave or incredibly reckless to put his heart on the line like that? Let me know your predictions in the comments below. If you were captivated by Frank and Peter Eurostrade's journey, please show your support by hitting that like button. And don't Eurostrade forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't Eurostrade miss the next chapter of their story.